If you're a relatively new mother or are expecting to become a new mother in the near future, you are probably familiar with the multi-billion-dollar industry that caters to pregnant women and moms today. But are all these child experts really experts? Can you really communicate, for example? Can you really communicate with the unborn? On today's show, you'll hear from two of the most respected child experts in the country. Joy Berry has written numerous books with accompanying audio tapes on how to raise a happy and a well-adjusted child. Dr. F. Rene Vandecar is the founder of the Prenatal University in California. He's an OB/GYN who teaches parents to communicate to the unborn child, ensuring, he says, an infant with a head start in life. You'll also meet Sonia Tates, a mother and the author of a new book called Mothering Heights. Sonia will tell you that these experts are wasting your time and your money by preying on naive new parents. Insecurities. Throw into this mix an audience of mothers and mothers-to-be, and there should be a lot of things to talk about. And there was. Watch this.
Hi, I'm one of you. I'm a mother. I'm one of 13 million new mothers in the 90s who have been bombarded and beleaguered by experts, marketers, toy manufacturers, seminar leaders, and people who will tell you how to raise a happy, loving, tall, blonde, blue-eyed child. And I'm here to say, after 4 years of motherhood and as a writer, that I think you don't have to worry, that you can do it yourself, that you'll do it well, and that in a sense, this billion-dollar industry is ripping us off and making us feel guilty for no good reason.
My name is Joy Berry, and I too am a mother. I'm a mother of 4 children, 2 of which I single-parented for years and years and years, and 2 who I have step-parented for the last 7 years. And I believe that you can use all the help you can get. I know I did. And the help that I would like to provide is books that actually speak directly to children about all the things that they experience during their lifetime that can help them live intelligent, responsible lives.
You can communicate with your preborn baby effectively, and you can give your love to the baby and have it returned before birth. I'm Rene Vandecar, an obstetrician, father of 7 children, and I've done a lot of personal raising the children, carrying them around, and I feel like a mommy too, so I'm with you guys.
Definitely.
Hi. I'd like to say that I agree to some degree with what you're saying. Guilt is something that you take on. I don't think that they are out there to hoodwink us. If you need help, then you look to the books. You do not rely on a book. I mean, there's some people who need the book, you know what I'm saying, and that's it. They live with the book. Then the child has a book for a parent with a narrator. What they're saying, I believe, is that, hey, I'm not quite sure. Mom wasn't too sure. Let me take a look at the book and then go from there. I raised my child. I did the whole in utero thing, and it worked for me. I don't feel that they are pressuring me as far as, oh, buy this book because you don't know what you're doing. We are not stupid women or men.
Absolutely.
You know, if you're looking for help, you look for help and you get it. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that you can also, I think that you're smart enough to get these materials in your home and decide what you want to keep and what you don't want to keep. And I happen to know for a fact that all of my materials, you know, you get a money-back guarantee. You don't want it, don't keep it. I mean, you're smart enough to figure it out.
Exactly. So you're saying that you did the in utero thing with your child. You took a hot drink and you said hot water coming down. You took a cold drink, cold water going. I just want to clarify because people out here don't understand and Dr. Vandecar's methods, which are to stimulate the unborn child to make sure that he's smart enough and that the neurons are there and that you've bonded before birth. And you did that and you're happy with it.
Okay, well, it's not as technical or clinical as that. I just figured I have a live human being in my system. 13 weeks, I saw the sonogram, I saw the heartbeat. I said, you know what? Let me start giving some information down there. She's in there, you know? So I didn't exactly say, oh, it's so that the neurons will do it. I said, listen, I have another life in me. I'm living my daily life. Let me tell this life what's going on. I think it made her a lot more aware. Scored 10-10 on our APGAR.
Oh, gee, 10-10 first score she's going to get.
How did you feel in your pregnancy? Do you think the process of communication gave you more enjoyment or joy in your pregnancy?
I felt less alone. My husband was working. It was kind of hard for him. I did ask him to make tapes and sing. Well, I would sleep. My fetus was awake. The baby was awake. So, of course, I'd play tapes and music. So it was a lot of joy involved. I planned the baby. I wanted her. I accepted her as a human being.
Did she respond to you
She
at birth?
responded at birth. My husband said, "Oh, there she is." And she turned around and she looked wide-eyed, big, this is the whole thing. Oh, sorry.
I'd like to say for people who are not doing this, please don't feel that you've missed out because you haven't taken a pregaphone or megaphone to your bulging tummy, and it's enough if you sing songs that you like and don't play Vivaldi. I just want to say that because this dialogue, I think these two people know each other, would lead one to believe that otherwise our children will not grow and will not go to school.
Well, I happen to...
And my Apgar was good too in the 50s. Yes.
No, I don't know this gentleman at all, but I do know what I do with my child, and he just happened to. I didn't even know that he had started the in utero thing.
I do not necessarily agree with communicating to the fetus inside you. I mean, I have a child, and I often thought about the child inside.
Preborn.
Yes, of course.
Preborn. No,
Yes.
I hate the word fetus.
Okay, the preborn baby within me. I did not necessarily.
You have to use his terms.
Okay, well, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to place it everybody. All I would like to say is I don't necessarily, just to address you, I don't necessarily feel that you have to communicate with the preborn baby or whatever you would like to term it to be. I didn't think about educating this baby inside of me. I was very happy, and I was thrilled with the thought of having a baby and what it was going to be and all of that. And I instantly bonded with my child the moment it was born. My child also had a 10-10 Apgar, if that's important, which, whether that had anything to do with communicating or not communicating, I really don't think so. But anyway, all I would like to say is just addressing you.
Right.
And your theory that we don't need we're being bombarded. And I agree we are being bombarded. But I think that most of us in this country and throughout the world are educated enough, and if we can weed through what we need and what we don't need.
Absolutely.
And I feel that I at times have needed the expert's advice. I happen to have a loving mother and a loving sister who are very accessible to me and who I frequently go to almost on a daily basis with questions. My sister has children, obviously my mother has children. Right. But there are moments at 10 at night when you have a newborn baby screaming their head off, and you need Dr. Spock, you need Penelope Leach, you need What to Expect When You Have a New Baby. I mean, you need these
obviously
things.
For medical things or for really scary first moments, but after a while, I think we begin to be able to pick and choose and not buy series that come automatically in the mail, or not hand our kids lists. 1, lying is this. 2, the truth is that. We begin to develop some grace, some magic, some romance, and some cool about being human beings, grown up enough to have children and raise them our own way. I think I'm agreeing with you. I have a lot of books myself, and I refer to them if a child has an earache or something, or I want to know how to deal with discipline.
No, but it's important
I will toss it across the room too.
I have a 9.5-month-old, and I like having a book that tells me at
Definitely.
9 months old, there's a chance the average 9-month-old crawls, let's say, or it's a nice barometer. Granted, my 9.5-month-old happens to crawl. If he didn't crawl, I wouldn't jump off a bridge or run to a doctor and say, "Oh my God, he's not crawling. What's the matter with my child?" I mean, maybe.
So it sounds like you're well balanced.
Well, okay, maybe I am, and hopefully I'll have a well-balanced child. But who knows? I mean, and hopefully with these books and with toys and whatever. I mean, I think it's important. I think that you need all this stuff, and that's 10-10 Apgar. You want me to? 10-10 Apgar, just for anybody, it's...
I think that we need to make it clear that Sonia, all the way through her books, quotes experts.
Yeah.
And basically what we need to know is that she wants to choose the experts that you choose. And if she doesn't like
I don't understand what you mean.
Well, basically, all
Which
the way
experts do I
through,
choose?
Brazelton.
I like Brazelton.
And I love
excuse me, Joy,
Brazelton.
I do not advocate any expert. If I were Brazelton's
What about
right-hand
in your
woman,
parenting, and what about in the chapter on grandparenting, where every other chapter you are quoting some expert?
You seem to have studied my book very well, and you get 10-10 on your Apgar. But what I'm trying to say in the grandparenting chapter is that grandparents are important,
and they
luckily
are.
some experts are.
And you,
excuse
and
me,
you,
Joy, I'm not finished. And you do have a book on politeness. And well, you do, and it does say not to interrupt. So let me finish, and then you can speak. Okay? You speak through your 250 books as well, and I have one chance to speak to mothers that may be feeling that they need to buy everything, and I really feel for people who don't have the money and the time for this. I do agree with some experts. I'm not iconoclastic. I'm not crunchy granola. I don't live out in the middle of a rice paddy. Okay. I read a lot of things. I do like a lot of things about Brazelton. Brazelton is the first person to say that the mother and father matter the most. I do like experts who advocate grandparents because I feel our parents, our family are our best assets. They don't charge us, generally don't charge us for the advice and the wisdom that they have.
Definitely. I absolutely believe the thesis that you presented in that chapter. I just found it interesting that every other, paragraph, you were quoting some expert. And at the end, when you jump ship on your basic thesis and say, oh, well, I think we do need some experts as long as they agree with what we want. When your general thesis was, let's don't use experts at all.
Experts are handy when they help us feel confident. If you can find someone to back you up and you can say, look, Bruno Bedelheim says, fantasy is good, fairy tales are good, and that helps you, I think that's helpful. Experts are good in their place. Some are better than others.
I'd like to say that our son had an 810 APGAR, and I think we totally screwed up, and I wish we could start over.
What is this?
You know, we've heard a lot about APGAR scores, and that's just a physiologic series of measurements that are taken at birth at 1 minute, 5 minutes, and just to tell how healthy the baby is, how ready for life the baby is. And that's the reason I think that's been brought up is because our studies have showed that actually babies were a little bit more ready that had been communicated with before birth. And the way that communication is done is both using voice and touch, like we would say to the baby, look at my abdomen, it looks like I'm a little pregnant there myself, about 7 months, I think. And we'd reach down like this, and we'd find the baby's back, and we'd go pat, 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 rub, 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 and then squeeze, squeeze. And there are different motions that we do. And the idea is not to teach the baby the word pat and rub. It's just to let the baby know that words have meaning and to begin to turn its awareness outside of the womb, to make it able to understand that there's something else going on. And if, as an obstetrician, I see these people in the office and I touch their abdomen, I can tell the mothers who have been communicating because that baby knows that strange hands are touching their abdomen. They respond differently than if they haven't been touched. It's really wonderful.
We're all talking about educating in the womb. Now, I'm curious if any of you have any opinion on educating a child, how early they should be educated. Because I have an 8-year-old and 2-month-old baby. And with both of them, I started at a month doing flashcards, showing them numbers and things like that. And my daughter is 8 years old and in 2nd grade, but she has a very high IQ and a very high reading level. And I'm trying to do the same thing with my second child. So I just want to know.
According to one of the experts that I've read and I've written about, you're supposed to buy 2002, let me see if I remember this, 5005 self-adhesive red dots and put them on little pages and show your baby at birth. The moment of birth consists of mom flashing a card that says mommy and dad or mom, if she has 2 hands available, and isn't bonding in another way, showing this 1 dot red, and you say 1, and then you do 2, and you do a series of numbers up to about whatever, 5,005. I'm not sure. I'm not mathematically gifted myself. But you eventually teach the child to recognize maybe 30 dots on a page randomly scattered like atoms, and at the end, you've got a child who will do this. I call it a trick, but that is something that you can do. You can also put on this outside of your hospital room, quiet, infant stimulation in progress. Outside my hospital room, if I ever give birth again, I want to write, bring me presents, bring me something to drink, bring me flowers, bring me a babysitter. Not quiet infant stimulation in progress. But I applaud you if your children are bright. It shows you're a caring parent. And maybe the other things you do, your whole lifestyle, the way you are.
My whole point for doing it is I want to make education. I don't drill them on it, but I try to make it fun. And I did that with my daughter all the way through. Even when we were driving, the signs, I would ask her, how many letters can you recognize? And we'd make a game out of it so that when she went to school, learning was fun for her. Yeah. So I try to start that and start the learning process early,
I think that it's very tragic when we always associate education with academia. And we always think that if we're not teaching the colors and the sizes and the shapes and the numbers, that we're really not educating our children. We know that children go through developmental stages and that at those early stages, they can't abstract, which means that they can't decode. That means they can't understand mathematics and numeral and ABCs and things like that. So this business of throwing all this stuff at your child so that they can become really smart at a really, that's silly. Do you know, my children went through a Piagetian school. And basically he says that children can't start encoding until they're about 7 or 8. And so my children did not even begin to see any kind of pre-reading or anything. They played in the mud, they played in the sand, they did that kind of thing. And when they turned 7 or 8, they came and said, Mom, I want to read. I said, go talk to your teacher. And within months, they were reading at grade level. Because you see, there's a lot of things that have to happen before a child is ready to encode. And play is a child's work. Now, so some people say, well, then Joy, why do you have these 250 books for children?
Which we have to describe these books, and I have to describe them.
And I certainly will.
Okay.
The books that I have, basically when a child goes through these developmental stages, there are certain issues that that child is going to interface with. For example, in the toddler stage, he's going to interface with mealtime, bath time, traveling.
Excuse me, my child doesn't interface. I just wanted to say that.
Okay. Well, he's going to encounter, he's going to come in contact with. Do I have to use your vocabulary?
No, but I think
thanks.
interface is computer.
But
I just don't want you to use computer vocabulary because these kids are not computer kids. They're real kids.
They're going to come in contact with certain issues. And what happens in those moments in their life? See, I have a great respect for children. I believe that they are so innately intelligent. And I think that if we speak to them in a very honest, accurate way, that they can take issues like sibling rivalry, how to handle your parents, how to handle fighting, how to communicate, how to make a friend, that they can handle those things in such a way that they will not create problems for themselves that becomes a realities that they have to live with and undo all the rest of their life.
Any parent will tell you, as soon as the baby arrives, all sorts of free advice is offered. People come out of the woodwork to tell you about their baby experiences. My baby this when he was 2 years old, when he was 3, on and on and on. So naturally, with an audience of new mothers, you'll get a lot of free advice, right? Right. Watch this.
Hi, I would like to say that I have my share of child help books also. I also think that parents have an intuition about how to take care of their own children. However, I find the doctor very interesting because my husband and I constantly talked to our children, and we just had our second.
It's a very natural thing to do. People want to do it.
It is. We tried to include, and we didn't try to educate either of our boys, but we found that as we went about our day, we just would look down and, he was there. They're big. And you can't help but notice them. So you might as well talk to them and include them in what you do. But I had no idea you even existed.
Did he, can I ask you a question? Did he communicate with the baby too? Did he put his head down and talk to the baby?
With our first son, he played with the child.
Played with the baby.
And we found that the baby would respond to him.
Absolutely.
He didn't play with our second son as much, and the baby was not as active. I wonder if it has anything to do now. He's 3 months old, and he's just coming out of a really bad fussy time. And almost the only person who can comfort him is his father. And I wonder if maybe he didn't spend enough time with him in the last 9 months.
No, each child is different. I mean, your 2 children are different because every child is different. It's like a snowflake. And I really don't think it's always a question of whether you
I wish somebody had told me that before they were born. I was
They
expecting carbon copies.
No, they're all people, and they're all different.
The only thing I would say about that is all mothers wonder whether they've done the right thing. And they're all carrying a load of guilt. And what she says has some merit in that we all of us carry a load of guilt that we don't need. We should enter our pregnancy should be a time of joy and a time of being able to express our love and a time of being able to appreciate that little life that's in us. Yes.
I have to agree with you. I also think that if the mother is stressed during the pregnancy, that the fetus is going to, or the child is going to feel that and come out anxious and stressed out. But if the mother is happy and content during her pregnancy, that the baby is going to come out relaxed and happy and feel better than if the mother had, a stressed out pregnancy.
Yeah, I think in this country that we are emphasizing education so much on our young children that our children, we're forgetting that we have children. I took my kid to a gymnastics class, and I heard the mothers, they were all talking about getting their children into Montessori school, and I feel like, I have to get my children into computer, and these are 3-year-olds.
Right.
And we're forgetting that children are children. They need to play. They need to be children. We can't educate them like adults.
I agree.
My son is 10 months old, James, and he's been biting me recently. He loves me, but he comes after me, biting me. And he's not old enough to read a self-help book. So I have to read it myself. And I'd like to know how it's not going to be instinctual that he just stops biting. He approaches me and he comes and cuddles up, and then all of a sudden it's leaning on me. And what do you do?
The baby may be trying to, babies are very complicated. They're much more complicated than we think they are. And there may be a real message in what your little one is doing. He may be challenging your authority. He may be looking for you to bite him back. It may be some sort of actually.
Could he just be teething?
He could be just teething, like I said. Yeah. I saw a baby 7 months old on a breast one time take hold of the mother's breast in the mouth, pull it out, let it snap, and then say, ha, ha, ha.
So do you think that I should bite him back?
That's going on.
No. I don't think so. Don't bite him back. Your teeth are much bigger than his.
No.
And he's not doing it on purpose.
I consult books, but I do think that one problem with expert advice is that it makes parents feel that they are responsible for things that they really can't be responsible for. And just that example of APGAR scores that people mentioned, I think that relates to whether babies are in distress before they're born, much more than to their prenatal environment. The other thing I'd like to say is that there's no expert advice on one of the worst problems with newborns, which is colic. Absolutely no information whatsoever. No one can tell you why it's there or what to do about it.
A lot of times there are allergy problems, but a lot of times it may be an anxiety process related to the colic produces anxiety. The mother gets more anxious. The baby sees that anxiety. The most useful educational tool for a newborn or an early child is the expression on mother's face. Her expression teaches more about what to do and what not to do than anything else.
I'd like to address the lady with the baby that bites. I have a 9-month-old who was highly allergic when she was born, and not to outside foods, but to formula and to soy formula. So I'm at 9 months, I'm still breastfeeding. And when she bites, and she has 4 enormous teeth, she gets my attention. Yeah. And one of the things I discovered is the books will tell you, say no sharply immediately. The first time I did that, she pulled her head away and burst into tears. The second time I did it, she pulled her head back and went, it was the greatest joke. And now when she does it, I stop feeding her. And I will take her away from the environment. I'm not looking to punish her, but I'm looking to discipline her in a positive way so that she understands this is not an acceptable.
I tried that, and I put him down on the floor, and he would just keep crawling after me. And I think it does become a game.
Right.
And he laughs. He really thinks it's funny, but it really does hurt.
Yes, I have 2 sons, 3 and 5, and I try to limit their TV watching to quality TV, but if I let it to them, they watch TV all day. Many experts, though, I see want you to limit TV to, say, an hour a day, which as a mother trying to accomplish a lot is not a lot of time, and I'd like to know your opinion.
I think it's very important that we never take TV away from kids, but that we teach them how to relate to it intelligently. And that's the key. And basically, what we recommend is that you sit down at the beginning of the work week, you redline those programs that you feel are appropriate, you turn the TV on at that time, and then you turn it off when it's over, and you don't just let it run into the background.
For me, I have the attitude that if we're watching it with them, it's a little bit more quality TV. I mean, you can comment on it. You can see that Sesame Street just turned into some sort of war in Nicaragua, and you can turn it off really fast. And if a commercial comes on, you can comment on that too and say, we don't buy that, or we do.
TV can be very useful in giving mother extra time. But kids will usually do what their parents do. If you don't watch TV, they won't watch TV.
I agree with that.
The mothers in our audience were eager to listen to one another, but they were divided on whether they agreed with our experts, as shown here.
I'd just like to say that you seem to have taken the time to read some of the experts' book, and you've had the opportunity to decide who you like, and I like the same opportunity to do for myself. So if there were no experts at all, and you said, you know, don't even look at their books, I won't have, the opportunity would be taken away from me.
Oh, absolutely.
I agree.
No.
I
mean, I see no problem with that. Just as long as you're able to say, I agree with this, I don't, not to lose your footing and feel that you don't have some wisdom about this. Because
I think that if we are picking up a book, we don't have to agree with everything that's written down, that as intelligent mothers and with our instinct that we can filter out what we need. And for my own self, I belong to the Merrick Belmore Mother Center, which is a wonderful source of a place where we can be safe and share our experiences. And through other mothers, we learn together. Yes,
that I think is the best way.
Yeah, and we do talk about some experts, and then we talk about our own personal experiences, and that's what's important, is to be near other mothers.
I agree.
I agree with that too.
What I'd like to say is when you come out of the hospital with your child, you don't know what to do with a newborn child. And you look to the books. I looked to the books and I went crazy. I thought my child was a mongoloid. I thought he was crazy. I had to call my mother up to come from Brooklyn to Queens to show me how to use a thermometer. The books don't show you how to use a thermometer. Those are,
so your mother
that's
showed
the point.
You. I mean,
my mother showed
terrifying.
me. Yes,
it is terrifying. The baby's small. He's fragile. You haven't had sleep. You're a little crazy.
You don't know what to do, and you look to the books, and they drive you crazy.
I think that mothers who are pregnant, who are having babies, first of all, they need confidence, and they don't need a lot of downer things. They need things that are going to help them have confidence and to handle and deal with their baby and with the life experience.
Well, a downer thing is a book called Boredom, or a book called Separation, which you give a 2-year-old.
Not when the boredom, not when the book on boredom makes it the responsibility of the child to take care of his or her boredom.
Well, my kids don't get bored. They're 2 and 4, for God's sake. Little children play. Little children enjoy their lives, and they don't call it work
Okay,
either.
I have a question from before, talking about teaching children at a very early age. Are there any studies by the experts, or does anyone know that if these children who are going to preschool, who are learning at 1 year old, going to tumbling school and all, or if they are more advanced than children that are staying home?
As a matter of fact, there can be an aftermath where the child burns out. I mean, my beloved Brazelton has written about this. A lot of good, good sound advice is that overemphasizing one side of a child's development, be it are they physically fit and getting too much into baby massage exercise stuff.
I agree
Are
with
they
this.
overly?
As long as the child doesn't feel, as long as the child doesn't feel that mother doesn't give me love. If love becomes contingent, that you have to do this in order for me to love you, then it's bad. If this is part of what mommy does and mommy exercises, then baby exercises. It's a matter of following the image, the model.
I don't think it's necessary when you have infants to be putting flashcards in front of them. I mean, that's ridiculous.
I agree.
I agree. It's almost like putting makeup on a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old. I mean, my son is 7 years old and he's in a gifted class. He's in 2nd grade, and I didn't do any of that stuff. I mean, he just came up naturally, and when he got to a certain age,
But don't you
we
have
had
this
the books.
thing? You've got to have black and white toys, though. Otherwise, this is the must of the 1990s.
No, I don't have that either.
You don't have that.
I didn't have any problems with him, so I don't see the need to be putting flashcards in front of an infant.
Don't fix it. That's exactly what I think.
That's ridiculous. Let them be an infant and let them be children.
I just want to say that I've read each of your books. And I want to say that your books, the two of you, your books emasculated me. Your book, Sonia, empowered me because it gave me the confidence and the permission to make my own mistakes, to go my own way, to raise my children. I have two, to raise my children according to the way I see it, the way I want them to be, as opposed to some kind of prescriptive, nostalgic, sentimental, unrealistic way, as I found in your books.
No system works for everyone, and it's up to you to decide what system is going to best suit your needs.
To be part of the audience, please send a postcard to Donahue Tickets, care of NBC, 30 Rockefeller Plaza, New York, New York, 10112. Remember, postcards only, please.
One subject which came up again and again was guilt. Guilt. Mothers felt guilty about spending time away from their babies. They felt guilty about replacing the breast with the bottle. They felt guilty when the child wanted something and they said no. They felt guilty about feeling guilty. Here are the mothers talking among themselves and with the experts about guilt.
I want to speak to the issue of parental guilt because I think for too long, parents have been put into a position where they have to feel guilty. The fact is that the child is the bottom line responsibility for his or her own life. And that's why I feel whatever happens, we need to empower children with whatever vocabulary, information, whatever, to get in control of their own lives so that they can live it themselves. And I think that's possible at a very, very early age.
I also belong to the Merrick Belmore Mother Center, and I just feel that has given me such a support network. And anytime I do refer to the experts in the books, but they limit you. It says, well, at 9.5 months, your son should be crawling. And if they aren't, oh my God, what then? I can go to my Mother Center group and somebody else said, don't worry about it. My son didn't start until he was 10 months or something like that.
I'm so in favor of that. Mothers speaking to each other and sharing some wisdom.
And I don't know my son's APGAR score. And
Good.
I'm very happy about that.
That's a good score for you then.
I don't belong to a group and I work. I have nobody to speak to about my child who's 11 weeks old, and I feel tremendous guilt because I left him at 7 weeks. I feel that I don't have time to read the books. So I come home, I have to eat, I have to take care of him. If I don't talk to him, I get guilty because maybe I should be talking to him. He's not going to be smart because I'm too busy, I'm too tired. I should talk to him when I'm nursing him. I'm sleeping when I'm nursing him.
Oh, I know.
I mean, at least I'm giving him the food, I say, and then so you can go crazy doing what
it's very hard to be a mother today. I mean, a lot of people work, and mothers at home have got, to contend with people thinking they should work. Everybody's got some guilt about something. But I really feel that if you love your child and you're a nice person and you feel, warmly toward him or her when you're there, that communicates volumes.
The most important thing in a child's development is the relationship between the mother and the baby and the response that goes back and forth. As long as the baby knows that you're expressing approval and love, that's the lesson that you want to give to the baby.
In those few hours at night where he's with me and not my babysitter, then I get guilty. Is he getting that, what you're talking about, from her rather than me? And does he know that I'm his mother?
He knows.
This is all the things you want to read books about to reassure yourself.
Several times.
Excuse me?
I think babies do know. I mean, no matter what, they know who their mothers are. It's something we can depend on. We can depend on the magic and the romance and the uniqueness. I mean, it's a terrific miracle. Children. Each one is different and they know who their mothers are, and you really can't go far wrong. You'll always get another chance. You really will. So, and your child will know if you're happy with him. So try not to waste that time feeling, upset.
And guilty.
Just enjoy him.
I have a question for the doctor. Is there a right time? Like, I'm 11 weeks pregnant to start talking to the womb?
Well, whatever time you feel comfortable would be fine. But ideally, we recommend starting about the 5th month.
The 5th month?
When the sound hearing comes in.
Well, I think that I think it's important to talk to your baby and whatnot. But I mean, mothers have had babies since the prehistoric ages, and they'd never referred to books or anything like that, and people grew up just fine. I think we're living in an age. This is a self-help age, and we're over inundated with all this material being pushed at us constantly. I mean, do you talk to plants?
No, but mothers stimulated their babies before. In society now we don't do it, but they had tribal rhythms, they did repetitive tasks, they sang while they worked. We don't do that anymore. Babies had prenatal stimulation for thousands of years. The society has taken that away.
And I'm not so sure we're all growing up just fine.
I think it's important that we should stick to remembering that the relationship between the mother and the child is what's most important.
Absolutely.
My baby let me know when she needed to get off of one breast and go to another breast.
Yes.
Now I've been breastfeeding her and she's 16 months and everybody's saying, take her off, take her off. She'll let me know when she's ready.
Exactly.
And
she'll
then
let you
she'll
know.
be strong enough to say, okay, that's it. I'm going to walk away and I'm going to do something else. And then I won't have the guilt of releasing her too soon.
The child is the best expert in his or her life. That is absolutely true.
Earlier, somebody brought up saying no to your baby. My daughter's just about 1 now, and she's into everything, and I find myself saying no to her. I wonder, does she understand this? And should I don't want to waste my time saying no, but then again, I don't want to constantly, try and distract her, and if she is ready to learn no. So
I made my house sort of a little bit safer, although you can go too far with this safety thing. That's another area that I got pretty sick of. But if you make the house pretty safe, there are a lot of yeses, so that, you know, it might be wasting your breath a lot of the time with that age. But if she can feel the world is out there for her to explore as much as possible.
It's called manipulating the environment instead of the child.
Yeah, and it depends on what you do after you say no. If she learns that no means the sound mommy makes before she lets me do it again, then that's what the baby's got to learn.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Well, I'm wondering what the mother whose baby is biting did prenatally, and whether the experts, especially the doctor, thinks that she could have done something to prevent or precipitate it.
I don't know. We'd have to ask her. Did you do prenatal stimulation?
My baby's adopted.
Oh, okay.
And I spoke to the mother a lot while the baby was in her, to the birth mother, and she was very loving. So I really don't think that it has anything to do with that.
I think that's it's a great point that people worry about bonding. They didn't have the first few minutes to bond. They didn't breastfeed the first second, or maybe they didn't stimulate in the womb. One more thing to worry about. And if the child is adopted or somehow comes out, you know, cesarean, and you haven't seen the child for a few weeks, I think it's good not to feel that you failed motherhood. I mean, that you failed
We
baby
have
massage.
a very, very strong, these are some moms who've known me and my son since our second month. Since my child was 2 months old, we were in a baby massage class together. And we're very, very strongly bonded. And
See, I flunked baby massage. My daughter was there in a group little class I tried out with a preemie who was supposed to be very good for preemies. And little Aaron looked very intently at the masseuse, and then he puked all over her. And my child very sensibly crawled away. So we didn't, if we missed that bonding moment,
There are some people that do very well with baby massage, though, just as you said.
Hi, I have a question for Joy. I have a 2-year-old, and he's always constantly in everything. Even though I tell him to stop once, he'll keep on, and he'll keep, doing it over and over again. What I want to know from you, from your opinion, is how do you think I discipline him? Do I sit down and talk to him, or do I spank him?
Well, no, I would highly recommend against spanking. It's really counterproductive. But 2-year-olds, it's a very egocentric age. And I'm not talking about egocentricity being negative, but they actually believe that the world revolves around them. And sometimes if we can explain what this misbehavior accomplishes, both for him and the parent, and what other alternatives he could do instead, that is it's an amazing behavior modifier.
The baby grows by interaction with its world.
Exactly.
Don't take that interaction away. Substitute something that's not going to bother you, but let the baby interact. That's the most important thing that can go on.
It seems to me that the bottom line with all of this is that it's really a wonderful thing to have some of those books and refer to them when you need them.
Absolutely.
If you're feeling insecure about something, ask your parents' opinions, your sisters, your brothers. But it may, if you don't like the feedback you're getting from them, then read what the books have to say too. Take it all in, and what you then feel is the appropriate response is what you should do. I thought it was wonderful to have the book, to know that up until 6 months old, I can keep my child in my arms every second of the day. Right. And that child's not going to get spoiled. My mother and father chased me around, even my husband and his parents. Don't touch that child. It's going to scream. It's going to be spoiled. Because that's what Dr. Spock had told them when we were little babies. And it turns out, I couldn't have a happier baby.
So
and it made me feel, so that was great.
Your mother says you're doing it wrong. If you want to say so-and-so says it's okay, that's a good use for a book.
Well, absolutely.
But just remember, the experts disagree with each other. And there used to be a time when they said, don't touch your baby, or they thought the baby couldn't see and hear very well at birth. And these things keep changing. But yes, if something comes up and, your number comes up and the book says you're right the way you are, I'd frame that page, It's going to give you some confidence.
Speaking of teeth, I have a 5- and 4-year-old boy, and when they were 1 and 2, the 2-year-old always bit the 1-year-old. Mm-hmm. And I said, no. Finally, I bit him. And he has never bitten the other one since.
We can't say that we endorse biting. That's not a good idea. We can't do physical violence and then say that's why you shouldn't be violent. We can't hit the child and say don't hit. Those are the things you shouldn't do. And I think that that's important to know.
It's probably not a bad idea to listen to an expert's advice, and God knows I've interviewed my share of them. But what do you do when there are so many experts in one field? No parent wants to hear an expert say, "You're not raising your child properly." How will the advice impact on the child's life as an adult? How do you differentiate between good and bad advice? Tell us.
I had a friend of mine had given me some great advice when I was pregnant, and it's kind of dealing with the guilt. And I know when I was pregnant and then I gave birth to this baby, and I thought the whole time, oh, I'm going to have this baby and it's going to be wonderful. I'm going to bond with this baby. And this baby was born, and I looked down and oh my gosh, I was scared to death. I didn't know what to do. And I felt guilty because I didn't automatically love this 7-pound baby. And this friend had had a baby about 3 months before me. And she said to me, don't feel guilty. She said, the love grows with each day. So if anybody here's, expecting their first baby, don't expect. The woman over there said, she bonded immediately with that baby and it was wonderful. And I think that's great and that probably does happen. But if it doesn't, the love grows so quickly, and just through the experiences that you do with your child, the love and the bonding happen.
If you'd been communicating before, it might have happened earlier. There's lots of... Did you?
I talked to my baby.
Did you rub and touch her?
Sure, I did. I think that's a natural
critical
thing that any woman
And you
does when they have a baby inside. They touch their stomach. They talk to their baby. I don't think that...
You don't think that helps you?
I just think I was scared. I think that a new mother, no book you can read prior to having a baby is going to prepare you for motherhood. It's the experience itself.
Hi, I'm the mother of a 7.5-month-old. I think one of the most interesting things about all this expert advice is how far the pendulum swings during the years. And when most of us were babies, our mothers were feeding us cereal and fruit when we were 2 weeks old, and they were told, don't breastfeed, it's not a good idea. And it just goes to show that, each generation is told different things, and in the end, most of us are okay, and you kind of have to go by what you think is best. And in the end, your particular baby will probably be okay.
Yes.
I need a little help. I don't have a baby anymore, but I have a 4.5-year-old daughter who's an only child and has about 10 or 12 imaginary brothers and sisters. She tells she went into her teacher and she has a teenage sister that works in a pizza parlor. And the preschool teacher said, I can't believe, do you have a stepdaughter? I said, no, there's no one at home. Is this something, I just encourage it. I just kind of laugh. I don't know what else to do.
That's the right thing to do. They're created for a reason.
Right. But the thing is, there is a way to help a child distinguish between lying and pretending, and so that we don't cut off their imaginations. And that's what I'm saying is, by giving children honest, accurate information about some of these issues, we can help them deal with them in a very positive, healthy way. Okay.
By providing other playmates or other folks that this child can work with and can play with.
Oh,
and
she has plenty of playmates.
Or by defining very clearly what lying is and what its intent is, and then what pretending is and what its intent is, and encouraging the pretending and discouraging the lying.
Oh, I really believe that, honestly, she's not lying. She does know the difference. It's just pretending.
I think you should treasure a kid who's funny enough and cute enough to invent
have
things.
those imaginations.
Because our culture tries to flatten that out and homogenize it. It's a very mass-produced type of thing.
Thank you.
Keep it going.
And I do want that preserved. That's why I don't want anyone to say, but you're lying. Because it's not that.
If you don't bring it up, they won't be brought up.
Okay.
For a transcript of today's program, send $3 check or money order to Donahue Transcripts, 1535 Grand Street, Denver, Colorado, 80203, or call 303-831-9000.
Well, I just hope that each and every one of you can have the joy and fulfillment that comes from having the communication process with your baby, getting to know your baby before birth, and having the support of your mate who participate in this with you. It's a great joy, and I think anybody who's pregnant should have it.
And I would just like to say that I think that children can live very responsible, intelligent lives. It's just a matter of giving them the appropriate information that can help them do that. And that's what I'd like to help parents do.
I want to say that there are a million ways to raise a baby. There are a million books to read, a million toys to buy, and seminars to attend. But the best way is yours. I feel that you'll find it. And I just want you to enjoy your baby and enjoy your life, because the two go together.
Services provided and promotional fees paid by the